It's been more than 45 years since Jacksonville's most polluted industrial site closed down, but major cleanup has yet to begin. That could change this spring, and over the next 2 days, local residents will have an opportunity to weigh in. I'm joined now by St. John's Riverkeeper Lisa Rinaman, whose organization has long been involved in monitoring cleanup plans at this former pesticide plant and other places. Lisa, thanks so much for being here.
Good morning. Happy to be here.
Happy to have you. And of course, our condolences for your father-in-law, Jim, just a legend in local circles.
He left a large wake of good advice as well as wonderful memories, but thank you.
Yeah, well, we're glad to have you. And we'd like to remind our listeners about the Kerr-McGee Superfund site. So where is it? What is it? Why should we care?
Sure. So the Kerr-McGee Chemical Corporation cleanup site is on the west bank of the St. Johns River, just north of the football stadium and all that area, and just east of East Jacksonville. It looks like a wooded site right now because it's been dormant for a while, but unfortunately it's very contaminated based on more than 100 or nearly 100 years of manufacturing fertilizers, herbicides, and other chemical compounds.
Okay, and so it is among the most contaminated sites in the country. It's been designated a Superfund site. It's probably known to be the most contaminated in this area. So there was an article in 2016 the Times Union said, it's coming. It's been a long time coming, but now it's happening. That was, almost 10 years ago. What takes so long?
Well, it started in 2011. The investigation started, so really determining the extent of the contamination. And you have to realize it's not just the soil; it's the groundwater, it's the surrounding surface water in Deep Creek in the St. Johns River, as well as the sedimentation. And so none of that's easy to clean up, nor is it cost effective. It's very expensive. And so after years of study and investigation, they do have a plan for cleanup. It's not 100% perfect. We would like to see all the contamination leave the site, but they are going to contain it on the site and get it out of harm's way and away from human contact.
And so this site itself is very dirty, but really the history of how it was handled by the company, Kerr-McGee, was also kind of rather dirty. I mean, they created a shell company. They transferred all of the liability and the pollution liability to this shell company, and then they didn't have money to pay for cleanup. So they were actually prosecuted by the Department of Justice. How unusual is that kind of a circumstance?
Sadly, it's not that unusual. They're always passing the buck and trying to figure out to kick the can down the road, and this is just an extreme example of that. And this cleanup only deals with a portion of the problem. There's a phase 2 in Deep Creek that they're just starting to investigate. So there's more to be done, and there's other Superfund sites out there that need to be addressed.
In recent years, we've had a number of major storms that have impacted this property and other Superfund sites, particularly Irma, which flooded it out.
Yes.
How concerned should the thousands of residents that live around that area be?
They should be very concerned because whenever you have floodwaters, and of course the St. Johns River is being impacted by sea level rise and more frequent storms, that contamination can run off into the storm drains and go into neighborhoods and also the St. Johns River. So you don't have to live adjacent to the site to be concerned. If you're concerned about the health of the St. Johns River, this should be something important to you as well.
And so there are opportunities to get involved today. There's actually 2 virtual meetings. One's at 12:30 today, one's at 5:30 today. And we're going to have information on the WJCT website about how you can link to those. And then there's also 2 in-person meetings tomorrow at noon and at 4:30. That's going to be at Silky's Chicken and Champagne Bar. You can't go wrong with that on Walnut Street. So why should people get involved?
Sure. So, if you're interested in understanding the history, the impact, but more importantly for these workshops, if you want to know how they're going to contain the contamination during the cleanup, because they're going to have to disturb the contamination. They're going to have to do some dredging along the site in the river in Deep Creek. And so it's important, if you're concerned about the next 2 years while this cleanup is underway, how it may impact the health of your community if you live in East Jacksonville, or if you are concerned about the St. Johns River, this is a time you can come and learn about that and understand what the 2-year process is going to look like and how are they going to protect our river, how are they going to protect our community.
And it's crazy. I mean, this site hasn't been used since 1978, essentially, and it looks like a very green parcel. Going forward, what might it be used for?
It looks like it will most likely be used for an expansion of the Talleyrand Port. They are going to have to put a protective cap. So all of those trees you see out there today, unfortunately, we will lose those trees. They'll contain the soil, put the cap, and so it would be ideal for potential expanded port activities, which I believe are the part of the plans of the conversation anyway.
It's kind of a shame. It really is the only green spot there because it's all port and all concrete as it is. Lisa Rinaman, St. John's Riverkeeper, thank you so much for bringing us up to date on this issue and reminding people why they should get involved.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me today.
Of course.